Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charissa Viga, and on behalf of the Canadian Helper Society, I'd like to warmly welcome you to today's session, Kitchener Newcomer Women's Digital Navigation Hub Program. Orientation to Banking Financial Services. The session is made possible through the generous support of the Corporation of the City of Kitchener. Today's session is designed by newcomer, women in Kitchener region, and we're excited to help you master financial skills. We'll explore debit versus credit cards, online banking, basics, and managing account online. We are delighted to have Dr. Hamid Vahabi, a senior engineer of G Vernova, with over 10 years of training experience, guiding you through these essential tools.
Thank you. Thanks again. Let me share the screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you. So, yeah, thanks again. Hello, all. Thanks again for joining. This is our eighth session of learning how to access online services. And today we want to continue discussing the job search uh, process, focus on applicant financial expectations and negotiations, the problem we usually have there. And then we'll go into the effective online job search, how to find a job, how to apply for a job, what to do after applying for a job, and so on. And meanwhile, I would introduce some good AI tools for different aspects of the job hunting process. You can use them. Uh, LinkedIn would be a perfect tool for you, help you in different aspects of the job hunting process. Due to the lack of time, we won't be able to cover the LinkedIn, but I would strongly suggest you to try to get familiar with LinkedIn. Doesn't need to be professional, but try to get familiar with it. And you can find some good resources on YouTube for that. But start working with LinkedIn as soon as you can. For someone who tends to start applying for job positions in, like, for example, the next year or so on, I would suggest you start working with LinkedIn now, at least 1 year before start the job hunting process. It's good to have a LinkedIn account and start a little bit of activity there. Uh, find some uh, uh, find some uh, people in the companies you may be interested in future, and join them on LinkedIn. Extend your network so that when you want to apply for positions, you already established a good network on LinkedIn. So we received a couple of very good questions again. What resources or strategies can job seekers use to grow their professional network effectively? I don't want to specifically talk about it now, but on our slides number 48 and 49, we'll go into the detail of this networking stuff. So uh, bear with me until slide number 48 and 49. The next question was, what are the most common mistakes job seekers make when applying online or generally when applying for a job, and how they can avoid them? Again, bear with me until slide number 54. And I try to give you a list of common mistakes, how to avoid them. Simply just go into the video of our last session, and this session will cover a lot of things. If you follow what I just tried to communicate with you, most likely you won't have uh, most likely you won't have those problems, and you'll have a better chance of finding a good job for yourself. So, very quickly, I would like to let me go back to our last session. Very quickly, what we discussed was in a job hunting process, the technical team and a company share a job description with the human resource. The human resource send advertisement of the position to the company's website and other platforms like LinkedIn. Applicants like you apply for that position. Basically, they send a resume and someone, they call it recruiter, receive all those resumes. Depends on the size of the company, the reputation of the company. Usually they receive hundreds of resumes, and the recruiter rank the resume, and send the best one to the technical team for further evaluation. Now, the problem, as I mentioned, is recruiter usually have very limited knowledge about the position, and they have no time to spend on resumes. So they only rank the resume based on comparing the resume with the keywords of the job description, or they use software called ATS, Applicant Tracking System, which is an AI tool to come up with a list of best applicants and send a resume to the technical team. So it's your responsibility. I mean, the ATS works basically the same. It tries to find the keywords. So it's your responsibility to ensure that your resume looks good and perfectly matches the job description. Uh, we talked about uh, this resume stuff, but uh, one thing we should know is if you are shortlisted, the recruiter calls you, and the intention is to just make sure that you are still available in the market, you are not hired, and then they want to see if you're willing to relocate, and more important, most important is what is your financial expectation? We had some discussion on this. Don't go very high, don't go very low. Try to be reasonable in the range. And then, if you're available and if the expected income is reasonable, they would invite you for a technical interview or for a series of technical interviews with the technical team. And if the outcome of the technical interviews is positive, then you'll receive a written offer, and at the time you can start negotiating on the detail of the offer. Okay. Now we discussed further about the perfect resume, how it should look like. The layout should be clean and clear headers. It should have a good summary which matches the job description, and then there should be some clear headings. Under each of headings, there should be some bullet points, which again, in a context base, try to shows that you're a good match with the job description. So under each of these bullet at each of these bullet points, you should use the keywords from the job posting, and then there are some more details like try to add a time frame for each of these experience and the education stuff, and so on. The next thing is to make sure that you're a good match, meaning, like I said, I mean, job description could be thought as an employer's wish list. Would love to see, they would love to find someone that is a perfect match to the job description. What you need to consider in the job description is the job title and responsibilities. Then there would be some required skills and qualifications. The employer is, or the technical team is uh, more interested in this required skills, meaning these are the most important requirements you should have or needs in the job description. So you have to focus more on these qualifications in your resume. Along with that, you may find some preferred skills. These are, like I said, nice to have skills, but it is not necessary. So if you have some of these skills, include them in your resume. And then also you need to consider the experience level and industry knowledge in the resume and try to make sure that your resume is a kind of evidence, a good evidence to show that you have most of these skills. One important thing here is you have to be honest in your resume, meaning sometimes people just find the keywords and include the keywords in their resume, whether they have those capabilities or not. It doesn't matter. I mean, they just include the keyword in the resume. It is not a good idea because at the end of the day, sometime down the road, even if you're invited to the technical interview, some people may find a flaw, may find just one flaw in in your resume. Like for example, you say, I am familiar with this software. During the technical interview, someone may ask you one question about that software. Not too hard. But if you're not able to answer that question, then it would be a red flag. It means a lot to them. It means that they cannot trust on your resume, and it's a very bad uh, evidence for them. Most likely you'll lose that job. So in your resume, what I would say is try to, let's say, overestimate your capabilities a little bit, but not too much. Meaning, for example, if software is a required skill here, meaning you're expected to be familiar with that software a lot, like more than 80% if you wish. Okay. Now you know that software, but it is like 50%, 60%. That's okay. You can use that skill and that keyword in your resume. Okay. Don't worry about the difference between the level of expertise you have and the level of expertise they're expecting. That's okay. You're familiar 50 to 60%, they're expecting more. It means that when you go to the company, you should spend a little bit of time to get more knowledgeable on that skill, on that software or whatever. Okay. That's okay. That's understandable. But if your level of expertise on that software is like, for example, 10%, 20%, meaning you're familiar just a little bit with that, and it is a required skill, meaning they're expecting something like 80%, 90% familiarity, then you know just 10 to 20%, it's too much to say I'm perfect in that software. Okay. So overestimate a little bit, but not too much because it would be a red flag if someone finds a flaw in your resume and come up with a conclusion that they cannot trust on your resume. Okay. So your resume should be a good match to the job description. Like I said, if I mean the bottom line is if you read the job description and you feel that okay, I'm my resume matches 70%, 80%, 75, 65. This is a good this is a good match. Don't think that your resume should be should be a perfect match of 100% match to be considered a good one and apply for that. No, if your resume matches like 65, 70, 75%, then you're a good match. Apply for that. Kind of try to sell your resume as a good match of 85, 90. Okay. But if your resume matches the job description by, like, for example, 20%, then if you try to sell it to the company as a match of, like, for example, 80%, then it doesn't make sense. It would be waste of your time and company's HR technical team's time to re realize that, oh, this guy doesn't match and the resume is a piece of junk. Okay? Don't do that. Now, uh, we had some good discussions on how you can tailor your resume and uh, find keywords and include those keywords. One brilliant statement is quality of the resume matters, not the number of applications. Okay, so if you are able to find a job, like for example, each night, if you can find a job which is a good match, and then tailor your resume and apply for that, that would be a perfect goal. To apply for a job which is a good match, I mean, each night, or like for example, 3 or 4 position per week, something like this. But if you go above that, if you're applying for 10 different positions per night, and your resume doesn't match, or your resume is not uh, tailored for that job description, you're just wasting your time, believe me. Okay. So this is what we discussed last session. Today, we want to, like I said, we want to focus more on financial expectation and negotiation, and then effective job searching process. And the first thing is applicant financial expectation. Like I mentioned in the last meeting, the recruiter asks in the first call, they call you to see first you're still available in the market, you're not hired. 2, you're willing to relocate, and 3, what is your expected annual income? Okay. Now, the the, the thing is, at the end of the day, whatever excuse you want to have, whatever reason you want to have uh, to not give any expected income, it won't work. They want to get a number from you. So let's say your number is X. You say, okay, at the end of the day, you say, okay, I'm good with X dollar. Okay. Now the thing is, the offer you'll receive, I mean, you come up with this number, you're invited to the technical interviews, and you're good at the technical interviews, and you'll receive an offer. Once you open the offer, you can see that the the offer is very close to this X. Okay. And then it would be very awkward to ask them increase this X significantly in their offer. Okay. Meaning, for example, if at first, if in the first team, please mute your mic, please. Um, Now, what I was saying. Oh, I see. So if in the first day, for example, you say my expected income is $100,000, then uh, after receiving the uh, offer, it would be awkward if you say, okay, I want to increase it to 150. I want to increase it to $200, 200,000. It doesn't make sense. I mean, you cannot increase that number significantly. Okay. Except for when you have better written offers. We'll go into this in next slides. But generally, this X should be reasonable. And after receiving the offer, you'll have a chance to tweak it a little bit and improve it a little bit, but not significantly. So keep in mind. And the next thing again is once you receive an offer with this X and sign the contract, then it is not just the first year, your annual salary in the first year, but your salary raise in future years will be impacted by this X as well. Meaning, for example, at the end of the year, they would increase the salary by some percent, like for example, 3 or 4% of this X. Okay. So because of all these things, you have to be very wise in determining the X. Let me give you an example. For example, if your uh, uh, if the standard expected salary of a position like what you're applying for is in the market is like, for example, 100,000, okay, and then um, you suggested something like, for example, 70K, okay. Now, the thing is, the offer you'll receive would be close to this 70K. I would say close to this 70K. And the thing is, uh, at the end of the year, you'll have, usually you'll receive an annual bonus, which is like, I'm just saying, for example, 10% of X, of X. And let's say this is annual bonus. Okay. And the other thing is your annual raise for the next year, meaning your income in the next year would increase by, for example, 3 or 4% or 5%, something like this, of this X again. Okay. Now, if this is your X, it means that at the end of the year, the bonus you're going to receive would be uh, $7,000. And your next year income would increase by 3%, meaning you'll increase by uh, about $2,000. Okay. But if you were if you were accurate and if you suggested this 100,000 and they accepted, then at the end of the year, this is the annual bonus you're going to receive, and your salary would increase by 300,000. It is not, it is not too much, but the problem is it keeps continuing to the future years as well, meaning that the second year, again, you receive approximately, I'm just saying, 10% of your annual income, and then you'll raise would be some percent of the annual income. So this is gonna affect uh, uh, your salary until the end of the until the end of the last day of being in the company. Now, some companies, some large companies, try to kind of match you with other employees down the road, I mean, in future years. But some companies, smaller companies, don't care. Okay, so this is the reason you have to be very wise and um, uh, and whatever you're suggesting in the very first call from the recruiter. Okay, and now here's the thing: shouldn't, like I said, if the standard expected salary is 100,000, if you're too high, if you say, okay, my expectation is, for example, 150K or 200K, then it is a red flag. The recruiter say, okay, the expectation is too high. I won't continue with this guy. Okay. So, and like I said, if your expectation is too low, then it will impact your income all the way to the future years. So you shouldn't be too low or too high compared to your company and compared to the same role in similar companies. Okay. And this is the point. How you can come up with a good number here. We have very good resources out there. Don't worry about it. You just need to search. Okay. The first available resource to find a salary range for a job is online salary databases. Have Glassdoor. These are some websites. Okay. Glassdoor, you can find some company-specific salary reports from employees. Like for example, if you apply for a job at a company and you feel that you're a good match, you have a good chance of going to the next steps in interviews and so on. You can go to the Glassdoor, search for that, for the name of the company, and then you can find some good information that other employees from the company shared with Glassdoor. Okay, so you can find some good information about our employees already there in the company. The next the next online database is Levels FYI. You can find which is great for tech roles, the detailed pay bands and total compensation, meaning the base salary, the annual or all bonuses and stock or whatever. So it gives you some good details on whatever could be included in the offer and the range acceptable for the position you're applying for. Pay scale is not a perfect resource, or you can find job-specific data based on location, your location or the company's location, the level of experience for that position, and the skills you have. So based on these things, you would be able to find some good job-specific information on what could be included in your offer and salary expectation. Indeed, salaries, you could be able, I mean, you could find some averages from job postings and employees report, meaning there are a lot of open positions advertised in Indeed, and and most of or in some of those advertisements, the companies provide a range of expected salary, and they provide that because they say, okay, if you want to apply for this position, just take a look at this range to see if it looks reasonable to you or not. If your expectation is much higher than this range, don't apply for this position. Okay, so Indeed, what Indeed does is they collect those information from job advertisements and uh, give you an average of give you an average for the positions you're planning to apply for. And the last thing is salary.com, which is a great resource, HR verified compensation data, meaning human resource of different companies share information on this site. And the reason why they share is because usually at the end of the year, HRs try to kind of they call it uh, benchmarking their salaries. What they do is they try to collect information from uh, other companies in their industry from this salary.com. Like for example, if you're working in the healthcare industry, different companies in the healthcare industry provide information here, and then at the end of the year, HR of those companies just try to make sure that whatever they're offering is within a good range in that industry. And you have access to this salary.com as well. So you can just go to that website and find some good information about the company you're applying for, specifically um about the salary other employees are receiving in that company. Okay, so using these resources, you should be able to come up with a reasonable range for your uh, expected salary. The other resource is company career pages and job postings. Like I said, some companies list the salary range directly on their job posting. Okay, it is very usual in US, sometimes not very common in other countries. But uh, when you're looking at the job description, keep an eye on the salary expectations. If there is any, make sure that it looks good to you, it looks reasonable to you. Otherwise, don't apply for that. If it is too low compared to your expectation, don't apply for that. If your expectation is a little bit higher than that, then that's okay. Apply for that, and you have a chance of increasing it in your negotiation. Okay, so job posting is another resource, and then even if not listed, like I said, I mean, searching current posting for similar roles at that company usually gives you some good clues. Like for example, for that specific job description, you may not be able to find a range, but if you search for other similar job postings in that company, you may be able to find, like I said, some good ranges um, as well. The other resource is networking and forums. Like, for example, in LinkedIn, you can sometimes find pay information under job postings or through your professional connections. Like, for example, like I said, you have some good network, one or some of the connections you have are working in that company. You can reach to them and ask them about the acceptable range for the expected salary in your company. Okay. And the other resource is communities like Blind, which is kind of anonymous workplace discussions, or Reddit. You can usually find some good information about the compensation people shared over these forums. And the last resource is AI tools. I mean, I just listed ChatGPT. It doesn't mean that other AI tools don't provide this kind of information. I probably for future, I need to change this ChatGPT to AI tools. Any general AI tool, like for example, ChatGPT, Gemini, or Capital or whatever, they provide this kind of information. If you use a prompt like, for example, I'm targeting uh, position. Um, I mean, type the name and level of the role you're applying for and the location of the company. So, and for example, Kitchener at this company, give me a realistic salary expectations and compare it with other similar companies. And ChatGPT, like I said, I mean, any general AI tool can provide very good information about the salary expectations and compare it with other peer companies so that you'll have a better idea of where to stand. Okay. So these are all about finding that X or adjusting your level of expectations or annual or salary expectations. Again, don't come up with just one single number. Rather, you have to have a good range, a reasonable range in your mind, uh, which is going to be used in your negotiation as well. Now, like I said, you give that X, the recruiters send your resume to the technical interview team. You'll have one or some technical interviews. And at the end of the day, their conclusion is, okay, this guy is a good match. We want to hire him or her. And then they'll send you a written offer. Now it's a time for you to start negotiating on that X. Okay. The point is, a good negotiation strategy helps you maximize your offer while building a positive relationship with your future employer. And this is very important. I've I've seen a lot of folks, they kind of ruin their relationship with the employer during the negotiation. Okay. Sometimes the initial impression of the technical team or the company is this guy is good. We really want to hire him or her. But during the negotiation went very bad and very negative. And at the end of the day, the guy lose that job because of the very bad negotiation he or she followed. Okay. So just keep in mind, you want to maximize your offer, but at the same time, you want to build a very positive relationship with your employer. So increasing your offer uh, uh, shouldn't come at the expense of this positive relationship. Okay. Now, here is a structured approach for your negotiation. First, you have to be prepared beforehand, meaning, like I said, you have to research the market value to understand the salary ranges for your role in that industry and in the location of the company. Sometimes the company is in a very uh, in a very expensive region, so the payment is high. But if you compare it with the life expenses in that region, you may understand that okay, it is not, in fact, it is not too high. Okay, so the location of the company is important as well. You should have a good research on the market value for that, to understand the salary range of that company for that role and compare it with the industry. Like for example, if you want to apply for a position in an energy industry in a company, then should come up with a salary range in that company and compare it with other companies in the energy industry to see if that makes sense to you or not. Okay. So come up with a range in that industry, in that company, and then you have to know your worth as well. Okay. You can list your skills, certifications, achievements, and unique values you want to bring to the table. Okay. Uh, like I said, I mean, if you search, you can see that there's salary. The salary is not just one number, rather it is a range. Like, for example, the company say, okay, for this job position, the salary range we are thinking about is something between 120K to like 170K. Okay, that's huge difference. Now, what governs where you can stand in that range is your skills, your worth, whatever you're bringing to the table. Okay, so list your skills and achievements and unique abilities uh, you can provide, and using them you can make your case more uh, appealing. The other thing is you have to clarify your priorities. Decide what matters most to you. In your offer, we'll discuss it more, but in your offer is a package of different items. It is not just one single number for the salary. Okay. Like, for example, salary is one part of your offer. There are other items, like, for example, flexibility, meaning some company would say, okay, um, we are expecting the employer to come to the company every day from 8 to 4. So 5 days a week, 8 to 4. Very strict. Some companies would say, okay, we're expecting the employees to come to the company, but there is a good flexibility here. You can come from sometime from 8 to 10 and then leave the company sometime between 4 to 6 or something like that. At the end of the day, we are expecting you to work in the company for 40 years per week. Okay, so there is a good flexibility here. You can work 1 hour less today, but compensated in the next few years of the in the next sorry in the next days of the week. Okay, meaning there is a flexibility. Or a company would say you have this option to work hybrid, meaning you should go to the company 2 days a week, but you have this option to stay at home and work from home for the rest of the week, for 3 days a week. Or you have this option to work remotely. You can stay at home and work from home for the entire week. Okay. So these are some good options for you, depends on the needs you might have in your family, at your home, or whatever. You have these good these flexibilities may be very appealing. Or there are some growth opportunities. Okay, like for example, you're hired, but in this company, the uh, growing rate is very slow, meaning you have to wait for 3, 4, 5 years to promote to the next level, and then for another promotion, you have to wait for a few years again, and so on. So it is very slow. The promotion rate is very slow, but there are other companies that the promotion rate is much faster. Promotion means the level of expectation from you is going to increase, the level of payment is going to increase, and so on. So growth opportunities would be another item in your offer. Or other benefits, okay, uh, like for example, the vacation, the number of days of vacation you have in the company, the number of days of PTO. They call it paid time off, meaning you can take a day off, but the company will pay you for that day, although you are off. You are not in the company. So, what is the maximum PTO you have uh, in a year? Okay. Some companies are very generous on that. Some companies, usually startups, are not that good. So this is another item that you might be interested in uh, the offer. Sometimes I have a friend, he's single, and he needs to have a few trips uh, each year. And in total, like for example, you can think of 1.5 to 2 months of being in travel. So if I mean, in fact, he decided to not go to some very good companies in past because of that policy in the company. They didn't let him go out go out for his travels for about 2 months. Okay, so that's an important thing to care of, and the job title. There are a lot here, but the bottom line is you have to clarify the priorities for yourself. Make sure which one is more important for you, meaning you need to emphasize on those things more than others in your negotiation. The next thing is timing. You don't, you shouldn't negotiate too early. Like, for example, uh, in fact, uh, I was coaching an engineer. Uh, he received a call from he received a call from the recruiter and then he was invited for a job interview, for a technical interview. And at the end of the technical interview, the way it works is they start with general questions, ask you to introduce yourself and what you did and blah 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 blah. And then they gradually they go to some technical questions about the position. And then at the end of the interview, they ask you if you have any question or concern. This guy, at the end of the technical interview, he started to talk about the annual salary. And this is too awkward, unbelievably bad, because those technical guys have no idea about about the salary, about whatever the company want to pay to you. No idea. They are just they are just expert in the technical part of the offer and the technical part of the job. They have no idea about the financial condition. So if you bring this salary discussion up in a technical interview, it is a very bad red flag for them. Okay, so don't negotiate too early. You'll have time. Don't worry. Once you're done with the technical interview and you receive the written offer, then it's your time to um, negotiate and discuss the details of the offer, including the salary. So, some salary negotiating tactics, if you're, this is a key point. Sometimes, sometimes you know that, okay, the company is really, I mean, in the job posting, the company said their salary range is like, for example, between 100K to 140K. Okay. And but in the offer they send you, the offer is 115K, a little bit less than average. Okay. Now the question is, now it's on the ball is on your plate. Okay. What do you want to do? Here's the thing. If you are under pressure to secure a job quickly, okay, for example, you're uh, you have been uh, uh, you have been unemployed for a few months, lost a lot of money, have no further money to continue without a job, under pressure to secure a job quickly, or you have had many months of unsuccessful attempt and feel unconfident whether you can find a job or not. Usually, it happens with university students. They complete their uh, study, receive their degree, and then start applying for job positions. Apply for the job for a few months, no successful interviews, and by time they get tired, they get unconfident whether they can secure a job or not, something like that. If you're in this kind of condition, then you may want to consider targeting a number close to average in the range or a little bit less than that. Like for example, if the average is 120K and the company suggested like something 110 or 115, then you may want to negotiate a little bit, but not too much, because you don't want to lose the job, even at the expense of a little bit reduced income. Okay. But on the other side, if you're not under pressure and you feel highly qualified for that job position, that's the key. You are not under pressure, you're confident that you'll be able to find a job very quickly, even if you lose this one, and you feel that based on the job description, you feel that you are highly qualified for this job, then you can target a number above the maximum in the range. Meaning, if the maximum of the company is 140, I would say, okay, uh, you can you can ask for 150. Okay. And they continue negotiation and you'll find something in between that 140 and 150, and that would be good. Okay. So it's up to you how you wanna negotiate. Whether you want to negotiate or just accept the position and go to the company, get rid of this job hunting process. Okay. So keep this in mind. And then the other thing you have to be careful is you have to be very specific, not vague. Okay. Based on the market data and my experience in leading this number of projects or working on this number of successful projects, I believe this number would be a fair starting point. Okay. Very specific. You're proposing a number which is not same as the same as your offer. Okay. Don't be vague. Don't say, okay, I'm thinking if you, it would be good if you can increase the salary, the salary in my offer. I would appreciate it. What do you mean by increase? Okay. Don't be vague. And then do not, I don't know how much I should emphasize on that. Do not justify your number with personal needs. I was coaching a guy uh, for for a job interview and then for negotiation, and uh, for in fact I was coaching him for the coaching her for the job interview, and she was good. She passed everything, and she received an offer. Once she received an offer, she was kind of highly excited, and I was not available for a few days. So she decided to kind of answer that email very quickly to make sure that she's not losing that job position, that offer. And what she did was she called the HR person and explained that uh, she has a family, her husband is not working, and they have two kids, and the city of the company is pretty expensive, and she had a chance of searching for the life expenses there, and she realized that the X she provided to the recruiter is in fact very low, and she would appreciate if you can if the company can increase that X because of the life expenses of in her family. That's too bad. That's too bad. Don't do that. Don't justify numbers with your personal needs because the company is not responsible for the expenses of your life. Okay? You have to focus on your values, not on the expenses. Meaning you can say, okay, based on the market data and my experience and working in this number of projects, successful projects, because of all these skills listed here, because of all these experiences and skills, I feel that I'm a very good fit for this position. And thus, I believe that we can think of we can think of this number, okay, as a starting point. Focus on your values, your experience, your skills, your achievements, something like that, not the expenses, because those items are important to the company. Your experience matters, your skills matters, your achievements matters, but your life expense, who cares? I mean, why the company should care on your life expense? Okay, not a good idea. Do not come up with this kind of excuse for your negotiation. Next thing is, like I said, negotiation beyond salary. Your offer includes a lot of different items like the job title, the level, the job level. Okay. For example, you're applying for a position, and based on your resume, you feel that you are perfectly matched, like 90% match. Okay. And the company is thinking whether they want to, for example, hire you as a junior engineer or like, for example, a senior engineer. Okay. Now they in their offer they come up with a junior level. But since you are a perfect match and you know that you're a perfect match, you have this ability, you have this chance of negotiating on that. You want to negotiate on being hired as a senior in a senior level. Okay. Why it matters? Because it affects a future opportunity in the company. How they rely on you, what they expect from you. Um, what would be your bonuses, the annual bonus, the future salary raise? Everything is going to be impacted by the job title and the job level. So this is one thing you can negotiate on that. The other one is the performance bonus. Um, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, you'll receive usually in companies, you'll receive an annual bonus. Annual bonus is impacted by that X, meaning it is going to be a percent of X, and it is also impacted by your performance. Okay, meaning if you work above the standard level in the company, in the standard level, beyond the standard level, it matters. Okay, so this is something that you can negotiate on that. What if my performance is above the standard level? Okay, how much it is going to impact the bonuses. This is something that you can negotiate on that. The other thing, which is very important, is the signing bonus. Usually, when you sign a contract with a company, they give you a check. They give you, like, for example, $5,000, $10,000. We call it the very first day. Okay, that's why we call it signing bonus. That signing bonus again is an item in your negotiation. Some companies just ignore this one in the initial offer. And then once you come back to negotiate, they would say, okay, we add $5,000 signing bonus to your offer. Okay. So if there is no signing bonus in your offer, you can think about it. It doesn't mean that the company necessarily doesn't have this kind of policy. It may indicate that this is something the company considered for negotiating with you. Okay, so or if they say, okay, the signing bonus is 5,000 in your negotiation, if they disagree to hire you in the senior level, you would say, okay, so like for example, what about the signing bonus? Focus on this one, increase the signing bonus, something like that. Okay. The other item is whether you can work remotely or hybrid or whatever, working style. Next one is the training or education budget. And this is an important thing as well. Okay. Like, for example, the company would say if you find a good course out of the company, a good uh, uh, class out of the company, and attend that class and get the certificate, we'll pay for that class. We'll pay the expenses of the class. Okay, this is a good this is a good item uh, uh, in the offer. The other thing is the vacation days. Like I said, how many number of PTO you have. You can negotiate on the maximum number of PTO if you're like my friend, you need to go out a few times a year uh, for like more than expected number of PTO, you can negotiate on that. The other cool thing is relocation support, meaning You're living in Kitchener. The companies, for example, where the company is in, for example, in Edmonton, and you're supposed to relocate from Kitchener to Edmonton. Okay, the company pay at least a fraction of the expenses you have for the relocation. They usually have a cap. For example, they would say we'll pay uh, 15 thousand K 15,000 bucks for the relocation. Okay, this is something you can negotiate on. Um, some companies don't care whether you're really relocated or not. Like for example, in the company I'm working on, I'm working remotely. I'm always at home. And when I received the offer, it was clear that I would work at home. I would work remotely. Okay, so I I didn't have a plan to change my house. Okay, uh, meaning I didn't want to relocate, but the company had the policy to pay that relocation support to everyone, regardless of their intention to move from from that city or not. Okay, so they pay me. I cannot recall whether they pay me 15K or 20K for the relocation. This is something you can negotiate on that. The other one is the review cycle, and um, meaning usually you can ask them to uh, you can go to the company. The way it works is you go to the company, work for a few months, and then after a few months, they would kind of assess your performance and may be able to adjust your offer based on that assessment, which is not usually favored in company. Usually they don't want to do that, but this is part of the offer you can negotiate on. One thing, we are out of time, sorry, but bear with me. I'll try to wrap it up as soon as I can. The other thing is you have to keep it collaborative. Use a positive problem-solving tone. Like, for example, you receive an offer, you would say, I'm very excited about this role. If we can get closer to X, I would be thrilled to accept. Okay. So first, you're showing your excitement and your interest to join their company, but then you're uh, you're kind of um, showing that you're expecting more. Okay. But this positive tone is important. The other very important thing is avoid ultimatums unless you're ready to walk away. Okay. Compare these two sentences. I'm very excited about this role. If you can give me X, I would be thrilled to accept. Again, the tone is very positive. But here's the point. You said if we can get closer to X, meaning you have a little bit of flexibility, so there is a room here to negotiate. But when you say if you can give me this, then it shows that you're strict and there is no room to negotiate. Okay? And this is bad. You don't want to you don't want to block the road of negotiation with the company. Okay? Always try to uh, give a little bit of flexibility for negotiation on whatever you are talking about. Okay, so this is bad. Being strict is bad. This one is good. The other thing is uh, this is a great chance if you can handle multiple offers. Like, for example, you applied for a few positions, you interviewed with three different companies, and you received three offers from those three companies. Okay. Now, you're thinking about selecting one of them and signing the contract with one of those three companies. Okay. This is something that you can use as a leverage, but don't bluff. Like, for example, if you have another offer, you can say, I do have another opportunity at this range, but the role in your company excites me more. Now, is there any room to improve your offer? Okay. Is there any room to improve your offer to match up this range? Something like this. Okay. So you're showing them that you have other options and but you you're interested in working with them, provided that uh, they can to some extent match up this range. Okay. But don't bluff on that. Um, there are two reasons for this. First, if you don't have any offer, but just bluff that I have another offer or something like that, and come up with a range, and the company doesn't accept to match up with that range, then you lose this chance while you don't have any offer in hand. Okay, so you lose everything. Or if if you say I have another offer, and then the HR would ask you to show me the offer to match up, something like that. It is not very common to ask send them the offer you received. And even if they ask, you can reject. You can say, I can share some of the details with you, but unfortunately, I'm not able to share the entire offer, something like this. But it would be bad if they sort of understand that you're just bluffing. It would be bad. The other thing is you have to be respectful and professional. Like I said, I'm very excited. I'm thrilled to accept the this offer. But if we can get closer to it, so very positive, very respectful, very professional. Even if you want to reject the offer, try to be very respectful, very nice, and very professional. Because who knows what is going to happen in future? You may want to work with them in future somehow. Okay, so uh, it it would be bad to burn the bridges. Not a good idea. So try to be very respectful and professional. And one last thing is you have to know when to stop. Okay. Once you have had one or two rounds of negotiation, then you have to read the room. If if they have moved as much as they can, then you can graciously accept if it meets your needs or decline very politely and professionally. Okay, but don't extend the negotiation I mean the number of rounds. One or two rounds is acceptable, but don't extend it too much. It won't work. And it may have a negative impact. Let's say, I mean, you have two rounds of negotiation, and then they came back with a new offer, send you a new offer. Again, you replied that and say, okay, I'm thrilled to work with you, but what if we can change this guy and this guy? And so continue that negotiation cycles is not a good idea. At some point, they would say, okay, no, this guy is not clear on what matters to him. We changed this one and this one and this one. In the next round, he asked to change this one. We made some adjustment here. Now he's asking for this one. Are you sure that you know what matters to you? Looks like this guy doesn't know what matters. So let's ignore him or let's ignore her. Okay. So you have to know when to stop. Here, and when you receive an offer, you want to start a negotiation, it matters a lot how to bring it up. Okay. So I have an example script for the email you want to send to start a negotiation. I would highly suggest you take a look at this. Or if you have a call and during that phone call or Zoom call, you want to explain your interest and start the negotiation. I have an example for you here, so you can take a look and uh, at least get a feel on how to start a negotiation. Because of the lack of time, I cannot read it. But again, in both cases, you can see that how enthusiastic, specific, and collaborative tone they have. Okay. Um, let me um, Mr. Shapur, we have a few slides here. Would it be okay if I continue, or you prefer to stop at this point?
How about we continue next week? Uh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Sorry, there are a lot of things in the job hunting process. I try to wrap it up, but
Thank you very much.
not
Really
able.
appreciate for your
Sure,
great
sure.
slides and your presentation. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you
sure.
so
So
much.
next week, I try to wrap it up very soon and go to the uh, online banking and financial services at Kitchener. We have some good information to be shared here. So hopefully next week, we'll wrap up the job hunting process and discuss more on the banking and financial services. Thank you again. Thank you for being patient and hope you have a wonderful week.
Yes. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you're leaving with new skills and confidence to manage your finances effectively. A heartfelt thank you for Mr. Dr. Hamed Vahabi for sharing his expertise with you. At the Canadian Helper Society, we're committed to supporting newcomer women through accessible digital learning opportunities. Thanks to the Corporation of the City of Kitchener for making this possible. People, please stay in touch for more session and we wish success in your financial journey. Thank you again for being part of today's program.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Wow.